This is Fred Wahl, the Visa Coach. Today's topic is, what is the process to bring your romantic partner, that's fiancé or spouse, to the USA? Now, I am Fred Wahl, the Visa Coach, and I work with you to bring your loved ones to join you in the USA. And the Visa Coach service, well, is unique. Unlike the others, we do not prepare your application, then walk away. Instead, I personally continue with you as a team through the entire journey, preparing your application and then guiding you all the way through USCIS, National Visa Center, the embassy interview, and finally entering the USA. And most of our happy clients will continue with Team Visa Coach all the way through to US citizenship. Now back to your situation. You have fallen in love. Your special someone lives in a different country. You want to marry. You want to have a life together. You want to be a family with her or him here in the USA. So what do? Well, the answer is you need to successfully navigate a complicated and difficult immigration system to bring your partner to the USA. And there are only two paths to choose from. Either marry, then apply for an immigrant visa for your new spouse, or propose marriage. Get engaged to marry, and then apply for a visa for your new fiancé. Now today, I'm going to explain how both the fiancé and spouse visa processes work so that you can make an informed decision on which path to embark upon. And, well, please watch to the end of this video because near the end, I will share the 3 top issues that you should absolutely discuss with your partner and come to agreement on before making your choice on which visa to apply for. Now, let's talk about how to bring your fiancé or spouse to the USA. Now, both processes are, well, roughly the same. We prepare an application. It is submitted in the USA to the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service called USCIS. And then once USCIS has completed its review, the case goes to the U.S. State Department's National Visa Center, NVC, in New Hampshire. And finally, NVC couriers the case overseas to the appropriate U.S. Embassy for the in-person interview and approval of the fiancé or spouse visa. Then your partner uses the visa to travel to and enter the USA. First, we submit a thick package of application forms and supporting documents and evidence. This is the front-loaded petition, which is the essential element of the full support service that we provide at VisaCoach. My philosophy, and I religiously follow this with every case I work on, is that success, final outcome, final approval depends, well, 99% on the quality of the initial application that together we prepare and submit. The quality of the work we accomplish at the start, at the front of this process, determines the ultimate outcome. Quality goes in and a positive result comes out. Now, the petition package is mailed to USCIS. Fiancé visa applications all go to Dallas, Texas. Spouse visa applications may go to Dallas, Chicago, or Phoenix, depending upon where you live. After initial sorting, then the applications are assigned and forwarded to one of 6 USCIS service centers that are scattered throughout the USA. Now, at the USCIS Service Center, your case is reviewed and processed. Regardless of whether it's fiancé or spouse visa application, USCIS will probably take the same amount of time, currently 5 to 9 months, to complete their review. And the review includes an FBI background check. Now, when USCIS is satisfied with your application, they approve it. Well, at least they approve their part of it. Then they hand your case over to NVC based in New Hampshire. Now, so far, the fiancé and spouse visa processes have been about the same. But now, this is where their paths branch off from each other. NVC holds fiancé visa applications only briefly. They briefly touch the application just long enough to confirm which consulate is the correct one to process the case. And if the consulate is current on their workload, they immediately ship the case to the consulate using diplomatic courier. Usually, NVC completes this part in just a few weeks. But if the consulate is behind, if its pending interview caseload is backlogged, then the NVC might hold on to the case longer. During COVID, many cases had very long stays at NVC. Now, while NVC only briefly touches a fiancé visa case, for a spouse visa application, NVC really gets involved. NVC asks the spouse, the visa sponsor, to pay an affidavit of support and the consular interview fee, and requires copies of all civil documents, police clearances, and the U.S. sponsor's financial evidence. NVC reviews all of your materials, and once satisfied that all is correct, contacts the overseas consulate and books the next available interview date. And once they have an interview scheduled, well, then they'll notify you, and they ship the case to the consulate. Now, while the fiancé visa application normally leaves NVC fairly quickly, well, the time a spouse visa is held at NVC usually is a lot longer, maybe 4 to 8 months. So at this time, both the fiancé visa and the spouse visa cases have arrived at the destination consulate. Now, as mentioned already, if your case is for a spouse visa, the consular interview has already been scheduled and the interview fees paid. But for a fiancé visa, it is up to you and your fiancé to pay the interview fees and book the interview directly yourselves. Now, this can be pretty complicated depending on the country. And fortunately, at VisaCoach, we've already worked with, well, most consulates already. So we have a history of experience to draw upon to explain to our clients what needs to be done. Now, both fiancés and spouses have their interviews scheduled. And, well, they may even be together at the consulate waiting room on the day. But before their interviews, and it is recommended to do this about 1 to 2 weeks before the interview, not earlier and not later, your partner must go to a medical clinic appointed by the consulate to undergo a thorough medical exam. The exam must only be conducted by the clinic that has been selected by the consulate and no other. Your partner cannot use their own doctor. And at the end of the medical exam, the results will be sent directly to the consulate or given to your partner in a sealed envelope. On the big day, your partner attends the interview at the U.S. consulate. And shortly after arrival at the consulate, your partner will be met with a locally hired clerk, speaks his or her language, and asked to present all of the documents that the consulate requires for the interview. Now, it's critical that your partner be prepared and bring everything that is required. Failure to bring even one item might cause the interview to be canceled, or, if allowed to proceed, might add weeks, even months of delay till the visa is issued. And because this is so critical and so easy to avoid problems, VisaCoach prepares for each of our couples a detailed checklist on what must be brought to the consulate. And this checklist is based on our, intimate knowledge of the couple's case and past experience with the consulate. Finally comes the actual interview. This is when your partner meets with an American consular officer, no longer local hires, who will be the absolute final decision maker. This is the big event. Now, during the interview, the consular officer must be convinced your relationship is bona fide and not a sham contrived for immigration purposes. Now, I'm sorry to say this, but U.S. immigration has had a long and troubled history with fiancé and spouse type visas. Their experience has not been a good one. For regular immigration, there are simple tests of eligibility. For example, if a naturalized U.S. citizen were to apply for his or her mother or brother to immigrate to the USA, the simple test would be birth certificates, as all the names and all these documents would match. The mother or brother would be clearly eligible and approved for their immigration visas. But for a romance type visa, for spouses or fiancés, there is no simple, clear test. And even proof of being lawfully married, it's not enough. Basically, the officer must rely on the couple's sworn statements that their relationship is a real one, not a sham. And unfortunately, as far as taking the couple's word, this is problematic, as the well has already been poisoned by the crooks who long ago figured out that if they convincingly lie about their plans, about wanting to be have a stable marriage, perhaps they trick their American partner, they could win the golden ticket and get approved for the wealthier life in the USA. And because no simple, reliable test exists, because so many consular officers have been tricked, because of their frustration and embarrassment, U.S. Immigration has decided, well, to take the sad, but I suppose reasonable attitude that fiancé or spouse visa cases are probably fraudulent. They now review all romance cases with the presumption that the couple is trying to trick them. Sadly, they will treat you and your partner as guilty until proven innocent. The consular officer always reviews the application that we submitted at the beginning, and this is before the interview starts. This is while your partner is waiting in the lobby of the consulate. The officer is searching for red flags that cause suspicion and could lead to denial. And this is why the VisaCoach method of front-loading a petition is so valuable. We craft each application understanding the consular officer's standpoint. We understand he's a professional, and in order to obtain his agreement to issue the visa, he or she must be convinced of the couple's sincerity. And so we help him or her do their job by going the extra mile to make sure your application, well, does the talking for you, telling your story of a bona fide relationship and backing up these statements with clear, well-chosen, consistent evidence. By front-loading your application with what helps the officer come to his or her decision, we set the tone for a successful interview. Now, once the in-person interview begins, the officer usually asks only a few, well, in our case, easy questions, as he or she already knows the two of you pretty well based upon what was found in the application. Our couples interviews are usually short, soon leading to, well, welcome to the USA. 1 to 2 weeks later, the passport with its, well, brand new USA visa is returned via courier to your partner. Now, both fiancé or spouse visas are valid for 6 months. This gives your partner plenty of time to settle affairs and then leave for the USA. Now, here again is where the paths between spouse visa and fiancé visas diverged. Arriving on a CR1 spouse visa, your spouse is pre-approved for permanent residency. So without any additional effort, the green card is going to arrive in the mail in about, well, 2 to 3 months. Now, if your marriage is less than 2 years old, the new green card you get is only valid for 2 years. This is the so-called conditional green card. And 2 years later, we must go back to USCIS and apply to renew and upgrade it. And more about this later. Now, arriving on a K1 fiancé visa, you have officially 90 days, well, to get to know each other and better, okay, and decide to marry or not. You do not have to marry, but if you do not, your foreign fiancé should leave the USA before the 90 days expires. Now, assuming you marry on time, your new spouse does not need to leave the USA, providing that you apply to U.S. Immigration for permission to stay. And this is a new application to be submitted to USCIS and is called adjustment of status. This allows your spouse to adjust his or her immigration status from a temporary 90-day visitor to a lawful permanent resident. Now, at the end of the adjustment of status application process, your spouse also gets the conditional 2-year duration green card. And so now the paths of fiancé and spouse visas join again. Regardless of what visa you originally applied for, well, now that you are married and living together in the USA and have a conditional green card valid for just the 2 years. At the start of the immigration process for your partner to get permission to come to the USA, we had to overcome U.S. immigration's guilty until proven innocent attitude. The reason that they only issue a 2-year green card is because U.S. immigration is still cautious. They're still skeptical about your romance case, and they want one more chance to catch you in fraud. So near the end of the 2 years, we apply to USCIS once again. This application now is called removal of conditions on residence. So to avoid problems, we again use the front-loaded application technique. This time it includes quality proofs of what your joint life together in the USA has been. Now, once this application is granted, your spouse gets the permanent green card without any conditions. Your partner can then remain in the USA as a lawful permanent resident forever, indefinitely. Now, if your partner would like to become a U.S. citizen and enjoy, well, the benefits of U.S. citizenship, such as traveling internationally on a U.S. passport, well, once he or she has been a permanent resident for 3 years, your partner is eligible to apply. Now, while working together, I get to know my clients, well, really well. And they, in turn, will get to know me. Typically, well, they like the experience, and we continue working together as Team VisaCoach for each step along the entire immigration path. Visa, adjustment of status, removal of conditions, and finally, U.S. citizenship. Now, a question I regularly get is, in choosing between a fiancé or spouse visa, which one is easiest and best? Well, for most couples, there is no obvious winner to the which is easiest question. Both are equally easy, or maybe a better way to put it is that they are both equally difficult. Both rely on providing the same relevant evidence of your courtship and underlying genuine relationship. And in both cases, the interviewing consular officer must be persuaded yours is a bona fide relationship. Okay? Well, now it leaves which is best. Sorry, I cannot answer this one for you, because what is best for you and your partner boils down to what you and your partner really want to have happen and how. This is all about your personal preferences and plans. Now, there are 3 issues that you should discuss with your partner and come to a consensus on. How soon do you want to start your USA life together? How soon does your partner want to be eligible to get a job in the USA? And where do you desire the wedding ceremony to be held? Decide on these, and you'll pretty much have your answer as to which path is best. And in considering these issues, be aware of the following. How soon can life in the USA begin? Well, as a rule, the fiancé visa path typically is twice as fast as a spouse visa. Recently, fiancé visas take about 9 months, compared to spouse visas taking 14 to 18. Fiancé visas can be applied for immediately after the in-person meeting, but a spouse visa can only be applied for after the wedding. How soon is your fiancé partner eligible to work? Well, arriving on a spouse visa, your spouse is pre-approved for permanent residency and can start working immediately upon arrival to the USA. Literally can go directly from the airport to the job. But a fiancé visa immigrant after arrival must marry, apply for adjustment of status, and work authorization first. And typically, the earliest work authorization is granted is going to be about 8 months after arrival. And finally, where to have the wedding. One of you may have imagined and hoped for and even planned for the ultimate wedding. Perhaps dreamed of where it should take place, what it would be like, which family and friends must be there. You really should be careful and do not disappoint your partner. This was Fred Wahl, the Visa Coach. Now, click here to sign up for a monthly newsletter and receive bonus eBooks. Here for YouTube's recommendation. Here for the full playlist of recent videos on choosing between fiancé or spouse visas. And here to subscribe to our channel.